show this somewhere else the other day, and I didn't get a chance to. But if the church knew where we are and what's going on around us right now, I'm telling you, this business about taking temperatures would end. If they ever had this perception, and this is the year of divine perception. We have been brought on the scene to bring about victory this year in this earth. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and show it to you. Go ahead and just kind of, if they can see it well, just go ahead and show that.
The latest human quest is immortality and divinity. We're all trying to be superhumans. Is that actually happening?
Yes, in places like Silicon Valley, equality is out, but immortality is in. Everybody's talking about immortality. Google has just established 2 or 3 years ago a sub-company called Calico, whose stated aim is to solve the problem of death. We've solved search, now we'll solve death. And they are not the only ones. And basically they are saying death is not some metaphysical phenomenon. We don't have to wait for the second coming of Christ in order to solve it. A couple of geeks in the laboratory can do it.
Are they doing it?
Yeah, they are investing billions in that. Not only them, but all over the world. Basically, there are 3 ways. You can use biological engineering to change the human body, to speed up natural selection. You can use cyborg engineering, which is combining organic with inorganic parts. And you can create completely inorganic life forms. It will be not only the greatest revolution in history, it will be the greatest revolution in biology ever.
Will we still be human?
Not in the sense that we understand humanity today.
The Bible, for example. So in the first book of Genesis, what God does is to create animals and plants and humans. And we now want to gain this ability to ourselves, to manufacture animals and plants and humans. And we even go beyond God. I mean, even if you believe in the Bible, the only thing the God of the Bible managed to create is organic beings. He managed to create the cows and the tomatoes and the giraffes and the humans, all organic. Now we try to go beyond the God of the Bible and create inorganic life, something he never managed to do, either according to the Bible or according to biology. For 4 billion years, all of life was organic, and now we want to create inorganic life. That's really... Divinity is not far enough to describe what we are trying to do. The soul and the afterlife and things like that. The main task of God was to ensure agricultural production and victory in war. If you read really the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, it's all about agricultural production. It's about rain, it's about pestilence, it's about fertility. And now we are much better than the God of the Bible. I mean, in the Bible you have these recurring droughts, that the people of Israel do something wrong, God's become angry, drought, no water. Now Israel has built, in recent years, a huge desalination factory on the shores of the Mediterranean. And most drinking water in Israel today actually come from these plants, from these factories. So we can make God as angry as we like. I mean, he can stop the rains. We don't care. We still have water because science has managed to go way beyond the expectations of the ancient Hebrews.
The new thing is that there is a kind of alien presence on Earth. A new alien intelligence has invaded our life, not from a distant planet, but from the laboratories, artificial intelligence. And this is something new, it's a game changer, because unlike all previous information technology, it can make decisions on its own, it can analyze us, it can hack us. The printing press couldn't do it, the radio couldn't do it, but the new technology can do it. And for the first time in history, it is becoming possible to hack human beings and therefore also to manipulate human beings on an unprecedented scale.
Question 6. A farmer in the 19th century may not have been too concerned with happiness. 100 years from now, do you think we will still care about being happy?
Again, the question is who are we? 100 years from now, it's quite likely that humans like you and me will disappear and Earth will be populated by a very different kind of beings, all kinds of cyborgs and AIs and so forth, and it is extremely difficult to predict what kind of emotional or mental life such beings, such entities will have.
I'm convinced that we will destroy, unfortunately, a lot of employment. Just think of self-guided cars and all the drivers losing their jobs. Let's look at the bank employees and so on.
If you're left behind, you're facing something far worse, which is to be completely irrelevant. They won't even need you as a serf or as a slave. Direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic, but an inorganic immune system made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body. And if we hack the brain, and if we understand how billions of neurons create subjective experiences of anger and love and pain and pleasure, then there should be no barrier for recreating these kinds of experiences based on silicon and not carbon, based on computers and not brains. A good two-way communication system, direct communication system between brains and computers, this is kind of the watershed moment. I mean, once you have a good two-way, nobody has any idea what happens after that. It's kind of like the screen comes down and a completely different show begins. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. We have all this still myth of free will, that everything we choose is of our own free will. And this is a myth that served us well for a couple of centuries, but now it's becoming dangerous. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Well, I think maybe in a couple of decades when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And this was the moment when everything became monitored. That we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly of all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin.
Now, did you hear this guy? Now, this guy it would be laughable to most people several years ago, but this guy's the #1 advisor to Klaus Schwab in the WEF, the World Economic Forum. This is his #1 guy. This is the one Barack Obama praises. This is the one that Mark Zuckerberg praises. This is the one that Bill Gates praises. This is the guy who they call the prophet. Now you have to ask yourself something. If they call him a prophet deals with what they see in the future, and they deal with what they hear that will come and what you can do and what's the plan coming. So if he's the prophet, what is he doing? Now I want you to notice something about this guy. He talks about, now listen to this close. He said, notice he always mentions God. Always. He brings up God. If he didn't believe in God, why bring him up? But I want you to notice how he talks. He says the only thing the God of the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, So he's talking about God. He said, and he acknowledged that he's there. But he said the only thing he managed to create was organic life. Trees, tomatoes, giraffes, and humans. And he always refers to humans. And he talks about the God of the Bible. What you're listening to is a spirit who was there when God made trees, tomatoes, plants, and humans. That spirit was there. That's why he's talking about him like he knows him. Can you see that? He wouldn't keep bringing him up. And he's the one that said, God is dead. It's just taking a while to get rid of the body. And so he's saying, now we're going to go beyond the God of the Bible, and we're going to create cyborgs. Cyborgs. This is part machine, part flesh. Now, this is not some bozo you think that nobody recognizes.